Okay, good morning and welcome to the Wright County Board meeting of September 12th, 2017. We'll begin this morning with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all. And then the minutes, and Leah, I think you said you had a correction on the minutes?
Yes, just one correction to the minutes. Towards the bottom, the last paragraph, about 3 lines in, there's a date.
On the first page?
On the first page of the minutes, correct. The sentence starts prior to the rollout of the upgrade. I believe that should read 7/24/17, not August 24th.
Okay, I see.
Yes.
Oh, here it is. Okay, has anyone else had any additions or corrections to the minutes?
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as revised.
I'll second it. Okay, motion by Commissioner Potter. We'll give this one to Commissioner Delighten this morning.
I'll keep it short, Christine.
Second, all in favor of approving the minutes as corrected, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous. The agenda for today. Lee, did you have any additions, corrections for the agenda?
I believe the Sheriff's Office had one item to petition on for today's agenda.
Okay. Chief Deputy Todd Hoffman, go ahead.
Good morning.
Let me know if you have any awards. I can say you're award-winning, too.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, I apologize for the late notice on this. We just received this yesterday, the DNR's annual off-highway vehicle enforcement grant. This grant is in the amount of $12,000. I'm hoping to petition this onto the agenda for today. It's one of those grants where you don't get reimbursed for the salary until after it's signed. So anything that occurs this weekend, if we waited till next week, we would not. It would not be eligible for reimbursement.
Okay.
Where would you like this, Mr. Chair?
Not sure. Lee, where would you recommend?
Consent agenda?
It sounds to me like it just requires a signature. If there's no additional review with the board that they feel, we could put it as a consent item.
Yeah.
Sheriff's number 2. And our grant.
Sheriff 2. Sheriff's E2.
So
E2.
Sheriff E2 then on the consent agenda?
That would work. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Thank you.
And with that, Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the agenda with the one addition.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Potter, second by Commissioner Hewsome to approve the agenda as revised. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. And now the consent agenda with that addition.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda with the addition.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Vetch, second by Commissioner Potter.
Oh, okay.
Consent agenda. Anything else? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Timed agenda, 9:02, Mr. Virgil Hawkins, our highway engineer. Good morning, Virgil.
Morning, Chairman Burrell and Board of Commissioners. I have one item today for your consideration, and it's recommending award of a mainline intersection conflict warning system to Design Electric of St. Cloud. This is a project with 90% safety funds, and it'll put some dynamic warning signs on intersections of 117 and 35, 117 and 113, 117 and 37, and Highway 39 and 11.
All much needed intersections that need improvement.
I think this is great, Mr. Chair. I'll make a motion to approve this contract.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Hewsome, second by Commissioner Vetch. Further discussion. Virgil, these are the ones where approaching traffic and it will, the warning.
These are mainline dynamics, so the mainline traffic will be alerted that somebody's approaching from the side.
Okay, but it will also show both, it will be both sides, all four, or just the two?
Just the main line.
The main line, okay, all right. Okay. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous. Thank you, Virgil.
Thank you.
Bob Heavela, Auditor Treasurer. Good morning, Bob.
Hey, good morning, Board. Again, I think I had the word ditch on my agenda, so I got pushed off leading off the bat. So, Board, the first item on the agenda, Lee, if I call this up, is we're setting a public hearing date. We've ordered reestablishment of records on 2 of our ditch systems, County Ditch 38 and 18. So it was a motion on the board to do it. The engineer has given us the final report, so we're to set a public hearing date, then we'll hold the public hearing. So we're following the checklist for reestablishment of records. Board, we have the viewers report. Houston has done this work. We'd like to have a meeting with the benefited landowners and the respective agencies. We're suggesting that we have October 17th, 9:30, which would be following the board meeting.
So following or in the middle of the
During.
board?
In the middle of it, yes.
In the middle, okay.
So like a 9:30 type
Yeah.
thing?
Or she was predicting a very short board meeting.
Right.
You never know.
Are we going to get some of this information ahead of time?
Yes, Commissioners, you'll have the viewers report.
Okay, so we've had them, so we're also going to reestablish the records or reestablish the ditch info itself?
Profile, everything on the ditch. In order for us to do any maintenance or improvements on these systems, we had to reestablish these records. So this is the process. We have to get the condition to which we can do that. This is what is establishing that benchmark.
Okay, so we haven't done that part yet.
Right, that's what this meeting is all about. They've done the field work, they've done their soil borings, they've designed a map for us, so.
I'll make a motion to set a public hearing for the October 17th at 9:30 a.m. to reestablish records for County Road, or County Ditch 38 and County Ditch 18.
I'll second.
Motion by Commissioner Vetch, second by Commissioner Delighten. Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous.
For the second item on the agenda, Brian's going to come up here, but we have a tax forfeited property that has personal property in it, has a car, has stuff in it. We affectionately call it the bee house, because when we went out there to inspect it, some of the staff got stung by bees. But anyways, Brian's going to walk you through this resolution authorizing the public sale of the contents that are in there. So, Brian?
Actually, I think, I don't have a copy of that. I had Bob sign a notice. He mentioned the personal property that was left in this house in Silver Creek, and that we actually sell by simply giving notice and then having an auction, if you will, at Bob's front desk. We've never had anyone show up for those. But I think the resolution you have in front of you is setting the date for the actual land sales. And Bob's staff has worked, we've had several meetings to classify these as conservation or non-conservation. We've also set a basic sale price or a minimum sale price for each parcel. Hopefully you have that list attached. Do you have the list of properties?
We don't have the listed property, we just,
Okay. Yeah, the first paragraph under the resolution refers to the attached list, so maybe we should get that. I wonder if we can lay this over till a little bit later in the meeting. It'd be good just for you to have that.
yeah.
When you adopt the resolution, you're setting the sale date as November 2nd at 1 p.m. as suggested. We can get that list and come back to you in a few minutes if that works.
Why don't we do it after, should we do it after Bill Stevens' item at item D?
That works.
But Brian, as long as you're here, I had a question.
I've got a couple other things on.
Oh, some other things too,
you
okay,
do.
I'll talk to you. Okay. All right, next up.
Sorry, Board, he handed me something which shifted my focus there, so. Well, that next thing is also Brian's. We also have members in the audience. There was a petition for the Lake Improvement District to be set up as a watershed, or a Lake Improvement District. So, Brian?
Mr. Chair, members of the board, you should have in your packet a copy of the petition that was filed in late July by some of the organizers of an effort to form a Maple Lake Improvement District. Mike Wright is present today, who is the person that we've had the most contact with, we meaning myself and staff in Bob's office. And what we've done is gone through the petition, all the signatures that were submitted, and determined that yes, they have a majority of the property owners in the proposed district who have signed this petition in favor of establishing an LID. And so the only real action before the board today is to set a public hearing date. We have to be more than 30 days out. We contact the DNR, the MPCA, Maple Lake Township, Maple Lake City will be notified as well. There's also some publication requirements, as well as a mailing to all of the property owners within the proposed district. So my suggested date was October 24th, if you wish to do it at a county board meeting. I know sometimes in the past we've had evening meetings, evening public hearings for this type of thing, so it's really up to the board how you want to handle that.
I think this one should be held in the evening.
Mr. Chair, I was going to recommend an evening meeting. I've had people that reached out to me that they want to be able to participate in this, and they want to make sure it wasn't going to be during a work day, kind of work day hours.
No, I have no problem with that. So, did they recommend any dates?
They did not.
Mr. Chair, I had recommended sometime that week of October 23rd, I think is a Monday, so the 23rd through the 27th or whatever it is.
Mr. Chair, on the 23rd of October, we have a Health and Human Service meeting in the afternoon already, so we'd be here. Unless that's a bad day for...
You want to go at 6 o'clock on a Monday night?
6 o'clock?
That's what I would say, 6 o'clock.
6 or 6:30?
Go ahead, Sean.
We have that special planning commission, 26 to October 26.
Yeah, that would be Thursday, so, yeah. Yeah, so Thursday would not be good. We'd have the room tied up.
So we could do it on Monday.
The 23rd, though, Monday would be no
We're already
problem.
there for the afternoon.
And it's 6 o'clock. Do you think that's late enough, Derek?
Yeah, I think 6 o'clock would be fair. So we're going 6 o'clock on October 23rd?
Let's do a motion for that.
Was it 20?
The 6 o'clock on the 23rd.
I'll make a motion to go with October 23rd at 6 p.m.
For the lake improvement.
For the
Maple Lake.
Improvement District.
I'll second that.
Public meeting.
Okay. Okay, further discussion.
And right here in the county boardroom, correct?
It'll be right here in the boardroom. Okay, any further? Seeing nothing, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. And
Thank you.
okay, thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
And Sean Riley, Planning and Zoning Administrator.
Mr. Chair, County Board, good morning. My item is to fill a vacancy on the County Board of Adjustment. You all know we unfortunately had the passing of Bob Sherman, a long-term member, so we need to fill that position. Commissioner Burrell has proposed Dan Vick in Victor Township in his district. I talked to Dan about a week ago and tried to scare him away from the job, but he actually seems interested in it.
And I can just mention, I did not know Dan before I ran for county board, and he was an opponent my first time that I ran, and I got to know him over the years, and I think he's just a real decent guy, so.
I think he served on the city council in Delano.
Yep, and now he's moved out to my district, out to the Victor Township area.
So he seemed familiar with local government things.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to appoint Dan Vick to complete the term.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Hewsome, second by Commissioner Potter. Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you.
And now, for hopefully a short item, but a lot of pages. Bill Stevens, our environmental
I got a lot of geological information.
What is
in
your
here.
title, Bill? Environmental Health Officer or
Who you ask, I'm afraid.
something like that?
Geological expert?
No, expert is not a word I would use for myself.
I didn't know there's so many kinds of clay, I don't know, one little area.
Yeah, good morning, Mr. Chair, Commissioners. I bring before you a resolution addressing an EAW, and I thought before actually asking for action on is to give you a little history. To my knowledge, none of you have gone through an EAW process, at least as members of this board. I don't know if you have in other ventures one way or the other there. And the need for this came up primarily because certain projects, because of the scale, the scope of what they're doing here, are required by the State Environmental Quality Board to go through an EAW, an Environmental Assessment Worksheet, which is just kind of a review of all the potential environmental issues that may crop up for anything relating to these projects. Now, normally these projects deal with things like infrastructure, public infrastructure, transmission lines, wastewater treatment facilities, landfills, anything of larger scale scopes. But one of the issues that are addressed in the EAW is also non-metallic mining. If there's an operation that's proposing to expand for non-metallic mining, gravel, sand, that sort of stuff, greater than 40 acres, they're required by the Minnesota state rules to go through an EAW. That's why primarily this came up here. The proposal that's being offered for this mine out there is going to be kind of an expansion project of an existing facility out there. The existing gravel pit mine out there is about 40 acres in size, and they're going to propose to mine an additional 41.3, I believe, acres with this particular expansion project. Because we went from an existing mine into going into an expansion project, the EAW rules require this be looked at as a phased project here, which is one part of the project was leading into another. And because it's a phased project, we had to consider the full 81.3 acres with this particular EAW here. It's an extensive document, most certainly, as you've all seen here. And actually, Knife River began compiling the data for this information summer of last year, 2016 is when they started pulling all this stuff together here. They submit the document to us, we review it, we go back and forth with Knife River, we have questions on certain areas, they amend it for us there, they explain why certain things are being looked at, and we go back and forth maybe a half dozen times with them before we come up with the final draft document, which is then put out for public comment. We notify the EQB, Environmental Quality Board, through their Environmental Quality Board Monitor, which is their publication, to advertise this. We put a notice out in the local paper. The Annandale Advocate is where we submitted this because geographically they're the closest publication to where the project site is there. And then we also have all the documentation on our website, and this occurred for a 30-day process from June 19th through July 19th. And from that, people can comment, state agencies can comment. There's about 18 state agencies and organizations that we have to submit this out to get responses back. We did receive some comments back from 3 state agencies during the comment period and responded to those and noted changes that seemed appropriate within the document. There were 2 agencies that actually responded after the comment period. Technically, legally, we don't have to consider those, but they seemed relevant, and so we at least noted them within the review document there, and we're going to take those into consideration probably more at the Planning Commission phase for this project rather than here. The EAW is not, for lack of a better term, it's not a decision document. This is not a document that's going to decide whether the project gets approval to progress or not. What this is primarily is information that's to be used by the decision-making organization, the recommendation from the Planning Commission, which ultimately comes as a recommendation to the county board yourselves to make that final decision as to whether or not the project's going to go through. So this has been a long-term proposal coming through the development of this document. It's gone through a public comment period, and as such, we're bringing it to you now to consider. And what we're asking for, after we reviewed all the information also, is that you give what's termed a negative declaration for the EIS. What that basically is saying is that the county board does not see a need to progress into an EIS, which is an environmental impact statement, kind of a more in-depth type of document here. We feel that the EAW addresses and adequately discusses how the company is going to address the environmental concerns and that there's not going to be any significant environmental effects due to this project. So that's the request before you.
Mr. Chair.
Go ahead, Commissioner Line.
One thing I noticed here, it says the permit expires October 31st, 2016.
And that was, I believe, the air emissions, or no, the stormwater permit possibly there.
Associated Activities General Permit by the looks of it.
Yep, that was a question that initially we had for the company also, and they pointed out, if we look back in attachment,
Yeah, it was addressed
there's a
later.
letter from the state agency stating that the company can continue to operate under their existing permit even though it's expired, and that they will honor that permit until they can get rid of their backlog of permit renewals and then reissue the appropriate permit there. That is stated in the document, and I just find it for you here, attachment
I saw
4
it somewhere, too.
possibly. Here we go. Page 25, attachment 4, the second paragraph from the state of Minnesota Pollution Control Agency. Continuing to use an expired permit beyond its expiration date is covered under Minnesota Rule 7001.0160. It allows them to continue to use that permit until they can address the reissuance of the application for the new permit. Knife River did submit their application in a timely fashion to the state, and they're just kind of waiting for the state to catch up.
And have we heard from the township at all on any of this?
Have not had a response from the township at all, did not get a response from any of the citizens out in the area, which, I'll be
Really?
perfectly frank, was a little unusual, we thought.
And if I might just address this a little bit, because this has been before the Planning Commission, the operations out there, and we had, I wouldn't say a packed house, but a number of concerned people, and I have to say, I think Knife River has done an exceptional job addressing their concerns as far as traffic, noise. They've done deals with the beepers, you know, when they back up. They've gone to a flashing light. There were a bunch of things that they've done to alleviate any noise and dust. They do a real good job keeping the dust down out there. So I think it shows that the operator is really taking it serious to be a good steward out there in the
Eliminating the
neighborhoods.
beepers would be a big plus right there. You can hear those for a long way.
Yeah, so, but anyway, that's just what would be my observation. I hope that's, you know, I'm kind of extrapolating a little bit into it, but.
Hey, Mr. Chair, since you saw that many people at the Planning Commission and no response Bill Stevens received, that would indicate that all the people that had questions or issues got them answered. Because otherwise, if they weren't answered there, they'd have been back in the comment period, lighting the fire again.
I think so, especially if it wasn't getting done, if they weren't following up on some of the things that they said they'd do. So, no, I like I said, I think that's indicative to me that they are doing a good job out there, so.
And most of the people out in Silver Creek are very active in their local government, so that myself and it sounds like most everyone else hasn't heard anything, so I'm assuming there isn't a strong opposition.
And then the other thing too, though, Derek, is I said, they're good people, they're good neighbors out there, and they realize this, you know, we need gravel, we need blacktop, and I think there's a little bit of both of it. I think there's some tolerance on the residents out in that neighborhood to credit them as well, so, yeah. There we go. Uh-oh. I said something I wasn't supposed to.
I'm just fearful that this discussion's taking a turn a little too far one way I don't want it to. What we're here today is for an environmental awareness worksheet. This is not a CUP, it's not an approval process, it's simply trying to come up with the facts and outlining what the environmental potential impacts are for this proposed expansion. And I would note that the notice that we do here underneath the Minnesota rules are different than what the CUP notices are. We go through the EQB monitor, we publish, and we follow the state rules as far as an EAW notice provision. So it's different than a CUP. We don't have a public hearing. You know, we have a public comment period that's noticed differently than what our CUP requirements are. So that can also change how the comments come in. So I'm guessing at the CUP stage, we'll get a lot more comments, but those comments will be directed at things that we've already tried to address in the EAW, and they'll be, you know, dealing with noise and some other things, but there'll be comment. I'm guessing people will show up at the CUP. I don't want there to be an impression that no one's going to be there. I'm guessing. more of a
But, and I said, the people that did come the last time, they had some legitimate concerns, and I think that Knife River has done a good job.
And I just want it to be known that there will be more comment.
Okay.
I'm sure, yeah. Which we welcome that.
Yeah.
Okay, sounds good.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to accept the findings of fact and the conclusion order for the environmental assessment worksheet with a negative declaration for the environmental impact statement for what's referred to as the Nactaborn Pit.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Potter,
I'll second that.
second by Commissioner Hewsome. Further discussion? We better not have any, no. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bill.
Back to Bob.
And
We're back to Bob.
Brian, did we get, we got some handouts here now? Okay. Thank you. So Brian, the resolution for today, it pertains strictly to these properties. It's not a.
Correct.
Cover
Mr. Chair, we have looked at a number of other properties, that smaller slivers of land, and some of those are being sold by private sale where we just notify the owners of adjacent property. But these are the ones that are proposed for a public sale, and the suggested date is November 2nd at 1 p.m. I would note, Mr. Chair, that there are, we haven't fully digested all of the changes that the legislature made during 2017, but there are a couple of provisions that affect tax forfeit property sales that would allow us to use an online auction type of process. So we probably will be looking at that for the future. It also allows us to use an actual realtor or broker. So if some of these do not sell, there's a possibility we could list them with a broker. The law did not allow for that prior to the 2017 changes, so.
Okay.
Mr. Chair.
Go ahead, Commissioner Potter.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Brian, this, if I recall this with the state, some counties within the state that have tax forfeit properties have been unable to sell them, unload them, whatever the case may be. And I know that they were pressuring the legislature to give us another tool to help us dispose of these properties because they cost us a lot of money when they sit. Some people don't realize, every time Bob's office or your office touches it, it costs us money. And the idea is to get them back in the public, and some counties we've been more successful than other counties on disposing of tax forfeit property, but this has been a problem throughout the whole state. I mean, in the county in particular, I believe it's Todd or Morrison, in the last couple tax forfeit auctions, they haven't gotten a single bid on anything. And they're screaming for help because they just cost them money to have them sit there. That was a comment I had, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
Mr. Chair?
Go ahead, Commissioner Talley.
The one in Monticello, Country Club Manor, 7 Fairway Drive, wasn't
Yeah.
this on the same one last?
We've had that for a couple of years.
That's what I thought.
No minimum bid?
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Delighten, I think it may have been on last year's sale, or maybe we withheld it because of the condition it was in. We've since, we did bring an action to the board to
Clean that out with some professionals.
That's what it was.
Yeah, hire a firm to clean it out.
Yeah, but it seems to me I remember seeing it last year, too.
It's still technically labeled as uninhabitable, I think, by the city of Monticello. So that, hence the warnings or the conditions of sale there.
Yeah, hence the price.
Okay. So this resolution.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to adopt a resolution authorizing the public sale of tax forfeit properties on Thursday, November 2nd, 2017 at 1 p.m.
I'll second it.
Motion by Commissioner Potter, second by Commissioner Delighten.
Mr. Chair?
Go ahead.
I was going to ask Bob, have we set a location yet? Usually this room, if it's available. Right here. Okay. We will post it.
And I'll add it that it's be in the boardroom here.
That's the assumption. We'll include that in the posting and the publication, so.
Okay, and this is a resolution, and I lost my order thing here, so Mike, we're just going to start over brand new.
Aye.
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 Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Brian, would like to do a little follow-up. Last spring, somewhere in there, early summer, we had it kind of made the TV news about an investigation into the sheriff's office, and I understand there is some conclusion to that, but I'm not seeing anything out, and I'm just wondering if that's something that you could divulge the public a little bit of follow-up on that.
Mr. Chair, the only, yeah, our office was not involved, the county attorney's office was not involved, and Lee Kelly can correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding is that there was a complaint about not necessarily the sheriff, but the sheriff's office. Just a long laundry list of things that had happened over the years. That investigation was treated as an employment-related investigation. It was farmed out to outside counsel who did an investigation and reported back to Lee's office. My understanding is that the allegations were found to be unsubstantiated, meaning that at this point, the only thing that's public really is the fact that there was a complaint, that it was investigated, and that it was found to be unsubstantiated. Otherwise, the supporting data or the reports, things like that, are all private personnel data under the Data Practices Act. So does that sound correct according to your understanding, Lee?
Yes, sir. I think I agree with everything you've said as a good summary there, and we are, as you know, bound by those Data Practices Acts. So unfortunately, there's not a lot that is
So that's
public
kind of
record.
where not too much is coming out on it, I guess.
That's correct. We are limited in what we can release.
Okay,
based on
and I just think it's, I mean, because I actually was interviewed on the Channel 5 News over that. Well, and I said, if there's anything wrongdoing, we'll get to the bottom of it, and if it's not, well then, but we never get the other side, and I wish there maybe would be some follow-up, and maybe they will, who knows, but, okay. But as far as right now,
It's concluded.
It was concluded, it was unsubstantiated. Okay.
Correct.
All right, thank you, Brian. Thank you, Lee. All right, we are down to, would you be able to do technology meetings, or should I have Derek do it? Minutes. I forgot to ask anyone.
Oh, I don't think either of us should do it. I think the chairman should do it, since he waits till last minute to ask somebody.
I know.
I think he should do it, and that way he'll learn a little bit more about this.
That's why you always have to be prepared for everything.
You're talking about the chair, right?
I suppose we could postpone this next week. No, would one of you guys do it?
We'll split it. How's that sound?
Thank you, I appreciate that.
There we go.
All right.
The Technology Committee met on August 30th. Majority of members were present, along with, and Bob Heavela actually is a member. That needs to get changed. Lindsay Meyer, Olga, Sherry Nelson, Connie Mae Cooper, Teresa Friedsam, Levon Lemberg, Brian Malinsky, and Jen Rassa. We talked about the Office 365 status. Teresa Friedsman is the project manager that we're using. She has a little bit of experience doing this. She's an outside IT person that we've hired to help us through this Office 365. She's only worked with the state of Minnesota to convert 8,000 and some people over to the Office 365. So, like I said, she has a little bit of experience with it. So they've got a big plan in
More people than I have.
they got a big plan scheduled on how they're going to do it. They're going to do it on a small start and work it out. The IT department will be getting the first section of it so that they'll understand how it all works, so that if there's any issues, that when it's rolled out to the rest of the county, they'll be able to take care of it. We do have some training because Office 365 is a little bit different than what everybody's used to. We have some lynda.com training set up for staff that will definitely be very helpful. And there will be some mandatory training, including for commissioners, on how to log into your computer, that sort of stuff.
Okay, that's good.
And IT will provide the resources for the training, while the departments will enforce it. And
Everyone should know
And
that.
Commissioner Vetch says he'll enforce the commissioners.
Well, you'll be,
It's done.
you'll be chair next year, so you can
Infrastructure resiliency. Currently, the county has a fiber ring that has a backup with the state fiber line. But what we are looking kind of more of a long-term plan is a secondary fiber ring that would allow us to, if we lose any cuts within our line, to have another backup system with internally to it. It's kind of a lengthy process to implement, but it's kind of part of the strategic planning from an IT perspective to continue forward with building this second ring. At this point, it's just kind of more informational only. That's part. Secondarily, we also discussed enterprise resource planning. We've had discussions at a variety of different levels regarding enterprise resource planning and such throughout the county. There was the presentation over at the LEC about a month ago, give or take, on the Tyler system presentation, which a variety of department heads attended. The Tyler was identified as one such system that could encompass accounts payable, HR, a variety of administrative and accounting purposes throughout the county. We discussed the high price tag of this item and whether everyone at the county from an IT perspective is interested in pursuing or doing more research and going that direction versus kind of staying on the path where we currently are at with more developing our own systems for this, or whether we want to go with more of a off-the-shelf. Is that a good?
Yeah, and we got to make a decision fairly soon because a number of projects are duplicates of if we do go with an ERP system. So instead of continuing with those, if we go with an ERP system, those projects would be included in that part. Although going with an ERP system is a hand-built system, and it's not just drop in the software and you're ready to rock and roll. So it's not a simple process either.
Is this,
but it's a very robust system.
is this kind of a deal where we have other systems that have certain applications that handle something, and then this one would handle stuff over here, and then which one do we want to really run that?
This would handle, this would be kind of an umbrella overall everything. So it would take care of payroll, it would take care of human resources, it would eliminate, and that's one of the projects that are on the books right now with IT, is that when we hire somebody new, there's duplicate work being done. So they're working on trying to come up with some new software for that sort of stuff. Well, and on an ERP system, that's all included in that. So that's why we need to try and figure out if this is the way we want to go. But it is not a simple process by any means.
It's a better communicated system as far as from departmental to departmental. It integrates better across each department in sharing that information.
But then you'll have human services or the sheriff's department where it won't work for them.
Yeah, no, it will. It'll work for everyone.
This is a very, very specialized system.
And it'll make it actually easier because they'll be able to see their info quicker.
Okay, sounds good.
After everything is all said and done, which is it's like a 3-year process.
And the action was to continue the conversation at the leadership meeting, keep investigating ERP systems, direct action for Tagaro to inquire with Infotech on options for deciding on ERP systems.
Okay, and then before we go on, I did have one question kind of. The Office 365, that is a cloud-based system.
Part of it is.
Part of it is, okay. But I'm just wondering, I mean, when you hear like one of the big, Equifax was it Equifax? Was that
Yeah.
the one? Got hacked into and stuff. You know, you just wonder how secure our stuff is if we're doing it on the cloud. I don't know. I'm sure Adam is looking into all that too, so.
There's always an element of risk no matter how we go with things.
Okay, so you have a motion for the minutes and the recommendations?
I will make a motion to accept the, recommendations for the IT committee.
And the minutes, okay. Motion by Commissioner Vetch, second by Commissioner Lyden. Thank you guys for handling that on short notice.
That's right.
All right.
Just be warned, next time you won't be as forthcoming and make you do it yourself.
There you go. Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Next up, we have the authorized attendance at the Association of Minnesota Counties Annual Conference on December 4th.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to authorize attendance at the AMC Annual Conference, December 4th and 5th in St. Cloud.
I'll second it.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Potter, second by Commissioner Delight. And further discussion? How are the hotels reservations up there?
None available.
St. Cloud, it's good that it costs a lot less money than the cities.
I just
but
do
it's
it.
they're just so inadequate as far as.
I just drive back and forth. It's not.
Yeah, I do too. same
Well,
place.
all the motels?
Well, the Kelly Inn is.
Holiday Inn has the rooms yet.
So, I mean, the ones that are right by the convention.
They're gone.
Center,
They're gone less than 2 hours after they opened
But
up.
that's normal.
Right, it is.
Did they are they doing the same thing they did last year regarding, $100 cancellation fee? Good.
Yeah.
So
Okay,
obviously that helped last year.
all right, further discussion? All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. We are looking to cancel a December board meeting because we have 5
No.
Tuesdays.
No.
Actually, due to the
Oh,
conflict with the
because of the
AMC
conference, okay.
conference.
I'll make a motion to cancel December 5th, 2017 board meeting.
I'll second that.
A motion by Commissioner Lyden, second by Commissioner Hewsome. So there's not 5 Saturdays, or 5 Tuesdays, excuse me. Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. And Lee, do you want to talk to the next item? We have a closed session recommended here.
2 things, I guess, board. We do have the advisory committee board updates. I guess what I would recommend, Mr. Chair, is perhaps we do the updates and then wrap up the open part of this meeting and go into closed session to discuss the litigation.
Okay. All right. So advisory committee, advisory board updates. Mike, did you have anything? Or?
Mr. Chair, I have nothing for this week.
Mr. Chair, I attended the Workforce Center meeting on Friday, and we're looking at a close to $2 million cut in the budget. So they're freezing the salaries of the administrative staff. They're also looking at 4 layoffs. Another thing they're going to do is move out of the Wilmer Workforce Center into Ridgewater College, which actually a lot of people are accessing services from the college anyway, and that will be a savings of $8,000 a year. It's going to be renamed the Affiliate Center, so that's just to kind of keep everything legal. They also are closing their senior program and more blending it into the adult program. The senior program was started about 9 years ago, and they're also closing another site in Finlayson, reducing some hours. So those are some of the things that they're looking at doing to, continue to maximize their services as best they can with the cuts. And there's a few things that are coming up. There's on 10/13/17, it's the Healthcare Sector Summit 3, and this is Transition Strategies. It's going to be at the Atwood Memorial Center Cascade Room in St. Cloud from 8:30 to 11:45 if you're interested in going to that. And there's also the Workforce Development, their story, on the legislative breakfast on December 8th, 2017. from 8:30 to 11:30 a.m. at the Workforce Center in Monticello. There'll be more to come on that. And then I was also at the Safe Communities of Wright County meeting on Friday. And of course, the Drive Right program has ended, but we're still continuing to do the parent-teen presentations, or PAT is, at the schools. And there's also partnering with the Just Drive with Monticello, and they're looking at rolling out info to different businesses in their break rooms, where there'll be a series of 3 banners, like 3 weeks with different messages, raising awareness about distracted driving. So that'll be good. There's the Toward Zero Death Conference on October 26th and 27th. And that's pretty much it.
Commissioner Newsom, is the Towards Zero Death, is that in St. Cloud again?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, I know, I'm sorry, St. Paul.
St. Paul this year,
Yep,
okay.
St. Paul. And I also got an invitation from the St. Michael Fire Department. Their 100th anniversary celebration will be Saturday, September 23rd from 3 to 11:30 p.m. And they've got bands and looks like lots of fun, live broadcast from Bob 106. And so it'll be free admission, beer tent, meat market, Cracklin' Rosie's, craft catering, and a Seagull Lions popcorn truck. So it'll be a kind of a great celebration, 100 years with the fire department. And with that, Mr. Chair, I think that's about it.
Okay. And I was at the Wright County Fair Board meeting last night. There was considerable talk about, it was with the veterinarian that they had out, and to make sure next year at the fair that every animal has this certain tracking system. The 4-H ones, they said, are very good, very well complied with in the 4-H thing, but some, like horses, are coming in on the open thing, and they're not positive that everyone is properly tagged or whatever, so they're going to put that information out. And the veterinarian said next year, if anybody is not done, their horse or animal, whatever it is, would just be pulled from the fair. They said that, yeah, they said the potential, he said they've just had some scares and different, they do it for other fairs, and they said, like, they had it was a goat that ended up, sick, and they didn't know if it was rabies or what, and it was just, there was a panic, and then no problem, it wasn't, it came back negative, but they said if it was, they would have, the ramifications for not having this in place would be really serious, so they said they're not in it, they're taking it real serious next year, and they're going to put out a special letter to anybody that's going to be showing, so anyway, it was kind of.
And that wasn't at the Wright County Fair with the goat, was a scare?
No, I don't think so. It was at a different fair, right?
And they've had problems in other fairs with petting zoos, and so it's good to be really diligent.
They're really trying to stay on top of it, and I think that was good, so that was about it. Mark?
We had our parks meeting last night. Last year, we made the choice to open up the campgrounds 1 week later and keep them open 1 week later. And it's been proving to be much better than what we have had in the past.
Okay.
Normally that first week in May or end of April, whenever it was that we used to open, there'd only be a couple reservations. For this coming weekend, we have a lot of reservations. So,
yeah, well, it's still nice out.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's pretty, the way the weather's been.
It really is.
Yeah. So we just decided again to do that for next year also. And they got out some of the programs for this winter. Fingers crossed that we get some snow for cross-country skiing, dog sledding out at Ney Park again. So you can look for those coming out here shortly. I forgot the dates. Oh, that's in my car. Other than that, showed us some pictures of the Bertram Lake changing room, and it's a hole, and the concrete's been poured for all the base and stuff, so.
That's
Come
good.
along.
That's gonna be up this fall then yet?
Yep,
Okay.
yep, you'll be able to use the changing room next spring.
Is it still named after former Commissioner Swatsky?
I think they've taken out some of the wording that they've been using.
Last Wednesday, September 6th, I was at the AMC event in St. Paul. Kind of the highlight of the subjects we talked about was conflict resolution, open meeting law updates. Big part of the reason I wanted to go was the administrator versus coordinator discussion. They had a panel of both coordinators and administrators, and
They said forget the administrator?
yeah, the biggest point of it is that if you're going to do it, you have to do it like you're ripping off a Band-Aid. You can't do it in a slow process. You have to flip that switch and do it 100% all in or all out. The other side of it is making sure you had the frank discussions as a group as to making sure everybody understands what that difference will look like. Doing a blend that from their perspective doesn't work all that well. If it's a blend that is more towards a coordinator, they say then don't even bother making that change. So future discussions that we'll probably have as committees go forward in that issue, since we've already had discussions at this point.
Yeah, but none of those people in the Wright County, so,
No,
so.
exactly.
We
can
do things right here, so it shouldn't, it might not be a problem for us.
Another item that I discussed was AMC is in the kind of researching around ERP systems. They have a committee of technology directors throughout the state of Minnesota that are working with, they're actually talking with Tyler in trying to develop and modify to make an ERP system that they could run out without having to make individual changes as heavy county, from county to county. Yep. So I haven't got a chance to talk to Adam about that, but I wanted to see what he knew about it. But just so you know that's out there at this point too, which I think is important that we look at.
Anything else?
Nothing else.
Okay, and then we will be, we're done here, right? It's just,
Yes,
to come
Mr.
back?
Chair, I mean, we could come back. It would just be to adjourn, if anything. We have no other items on the agenda other than this closed session item, so.
so could
I
we
guess
adjourn and then go into closed session, or do we have
That
to come
was
back?
my thought, unless someone in the room objects.
Okay, no, that's
but,
fine. Just want to make sure that's a good way to do it. So,
Sure.
so then we are adjourned here at 9:52, and we'll be going into closed session after this.